Ape Escape, a video game about a circus monkey who stumbles upon a science helmet and then uses it to travel back in time to f*** history up. All so that he can rid the world of humanity and replace it with a monkey's right to reign. Can you stop Spectre, the fuckhead mastermind that's trying to take away chicken tendies and anime body pillows? Join me today as I explain why Ape Escape was not only a massive staple in mine and many others' childhood, but also just kinda tits. Go follow me on Twitch so that I can never stream, and don't forget to click confirm after hitting the unsubscribe button. So, it's the year 2000. Planes weren't falling from the sky, Sydney had the honour of hosting the Olympics, and Napster is in full throttle with a huge list of at least 200 songs to download. And all of them were techno. My brother and I had just finished Crash Bandicoot Warped, and for the first time in my life, I didn't know what game I was going to play. Mind you, the only games I had played at this point in my childhood were Crash Bandicoot, Rayman, Sonic, Croc, and Oddworld. Yep. 5 years old and I loved Ape. Get at me, Australian Classification Board. MA15 plus these nuts in your mouth! Ha! Got him! I knew at the time that Crash Bandicoot Warped was the third installment in the Crash series, as some of our cousins had showed us a few weeks prior the second installment, Cortex Strikes Back. So we did what any normal kid would do and relentlessly harassed our dad to buy us the game, until one night he caved and went to Kmart, and came back with Crash Bash. After a couple of weeks of internalising what out of stock meant, and one very well-deserved refund later, I ended up with my very own copy of Ape Escape. And psych! You need a DualShock controller to play this game! Get wrecked, nerd! Yeah, get this. Ape Escape was the first PlayStation 1 release that required a DualShock controller. Absolutely needed one. For those of you that were born after the year 2000, PlayStation controllers used to look like this. Notice anything different? Notice anything missing? Anyway, after a few weeks of pure boredom, my dad finally picked me up a controller with sticks, and I was off catching monkeys left, right and centre. So I understand that controls nowadays are subject to change based on mechanics, preference, and ergonomics. You know, you can't press jump and look around at the same time, unless you're one of those freaks that uses a claw grip. But I was fucking 5, dude. Anything that wasn't the X button to jump was alien to me. And upon pressing that button in a feeble attempt to jump, this happened. When I finally understood that the controller wasn't broken, my mind was blown. You select the gadget using the face buttons, and use the gadget with this stick here on the right. Whichever direction you hold the stick is the direction that Spike will swing. Yeah, hey there, is this science? After getting used to this sort of finicky control scheme, you start to learn a little bit more about the gadgets that you start with. A legally distinct baton separate from George Lucas's cinematic universe known as the Stun Club, and a butterfly net, known as the Time Net. Give the monkey a bonk to stop him from running around and catch him with your Time Net. One monkey down, only a couple hundred more to go. And that's it. That's the whole gameplay loop. Bonk monkey, get monkey, and go skiing after a hard day's work. If this sort of seems dry for a gameplay loop, you'd be correct. But also an idiot, because there were 7 more gadgets to collect, a soundtrack I swear is from the future, a few one-off race levels, and a bunch of one-off mechanics they introduce into the game in random levels like this god-awful boat. I swear man, I'm 26 years old and I still can't fucking control this thing. Not to mention, they also throw in a few mini-games, which are so unbelievably fleshed out. I mean, look at me go! All you need to do to progress in this game is catch a certain amount of monkeys per area and voila! You're on your way to getting these little shits back in their cages. immediately after finishing the first level, you get given your first gadget. And lo and behold, it's the dumbest fucking gadget in the game. The water net, used to help increase underwater movement speed and catch monkeys, training to be the next Caleb Dressel. I remember when I was a kid, catching monkeys in the water would take me ages. I would almost always drown because my stubby child fingers just weren't dexterous enough. So my brother caught all those ones. Not to worry though, because the next gadget you get is so much it's still bad. It's a monkey radar, and it's kind of only useful if you're going for 100%. Use the right stick to point it at shit, and maybe it tells you where monkeys are. Next up in the list is the Slingback Shooter, also known in literally the entire world as a slingshot. It allows you to shoot 3 different types of ammunition. You've got Dwayne mode, which just shoots normal rocks. You've got Australia mode, which shoots fiery balls. And you've got America mode, which just shoots any fucking thing it looks at. Simply aim and pull back the right stick and let go to fire. Next up, we have the Dash Hoop, baby! This thing was so much fun to use as a kid, and even today. It's essentially a hula hoop that sends you running into the fucking stratosphere. Although, this one's a bit different, because rather than be precise with the right analog stick and swing it in a specific direction, you spin the shit out of it like you're playing Skate 3, and after a few revolutions, you get your speed boost. Next up is one of my personal favourites, the Sky Flyer. Much like the dash hoop, you spin your stick into oblivion and uh-oh, did I just unlock verticality in a way to prevent taking fall damage? Hell yeah I did, no more losing cookies to the ground at 60 k's an hour. The next gadget the Professor pulls out of his ass is the RC car. It fits into holes, presses buttons, scares monkeys out of holes, but in my opinion, it's more fun to try multitasking spikes in the gadget's movement so that you can keep him as a little pet. Right stick to control your robo-doggo. And the last in the list is essentially an extended stun club that can break through some boxes and flashing walls. This makes backtracking not fucked, and it's called the Magic Punch, which I'm pretty sure is the name of a drug I took one day. Much like the stun club, you use the right stick to punch the fuck out of just about anything. So to wrap up this segment, you can kinda see how important and innovative the DualShock controller was, right? Of all the gimmicky bullshit Sony's released over the years, this and VR are probably the only two that have been justified by working on more than just one game. I'm looking at you, iToy. So about a month ago, I was watching Simple Flips play through some ROM hacks of Super Mario 64. He does this thing a lot of streamers like to do, where viewers can suggest the music of the stream through Media Share. Most of it's just memes and covers of 1-2 Oatmeal, but this time, it was a very familiar track to me. This song you're listening to now is the theme tune to Cryptic Relics, and hearing it 20 years down the track was the entire catalyst of making this video. Soichi Terada, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but if you're watching this one day, just know that your music was way ahead of its time, but so impactful. For me to recognise a track from a game I hadn't played in almost 20 years, and remember exactly where I'd first heard it, is astonishing. If you haven't played this game before, but you've enjoyed the soundtrack to this video, I highly encourage you to check out the original soundtrack, as well as his remix version of the soundtrack, Originate. Links in the description for both. To be sincere for a moment, Ape Escape is not the best game in the world. The story's kind of one-dimensional, the controls are sort of clunky, which can create some really agitating moments during gameplay, especially when swimming or being stun-locked by Patrick Star. But for the game to take the dive and try to pioneer the DualShock controller as much as it did, took balls. As I said before, it was the first game to make the use of DualShock controllers mandatory, and the developers, Japan Studio, had no way of knowing whether or not switching up the standards and norms was even a good idea in the first place. They had no way to know if the game would even sell. Japan Studios could have taken the easy way out and just made some textbook, plain-ass platformer, but instead pushed through and made something innovative and fresh at every step. No two levels feel the same, the gadgets never got too stale before they gave you another, some of the secrets were unbelievably well hidden, but all at the same time as being able to offer the casual gamer an extremely fun playthrough. So thank you Japan Studio, thank you Sony, And thank you Kmart for being dog shit at restocking your games. And a special thanks for all of you listening to my rambles and 3am thoughts I put on paper. Don't forget to like and sub, or do, I don't really give a shit. See ya! Also, Liam, I swear to God, you better play Fury soon, man.